What's up, guys? This is my top 10 farmable characters in Marvel Strike Force. So these are node farmable characters. So they're not characters that you may be able to farm them in other places, but this is a ranking from 10th to 1st for characters that you can actually farm in nodes. And the ranking is based on how important these characters are going to be for you towards the end game. Some of them you're not going to have access to until the end game, but some of them you can farm early on in the game. And I think if you have a heads up into why these characters are important down the road, it will give you some, you'll be ahead of the game. So let's start it off. At number 10, we have Captain America. Now, several months ago, Captain America wasn't relevant, and then Avengers got a rework, and then kind of under the radar, Wave 1 Avengers became very relevant. People saw that they could hold their own in war defense, and they are typically now a team you'll see sitting right next to Marauders in most people's rooms. And that's because if you put a beefy Thor on Wave 1 Avengers, they become a completely different team. So he is a pivotal part of Wave 1 Avengers, and he's also a viable character to bring into Dark Dimension 4, which makes him a good prospect that you can get very early in the game, and he's actually farmable in 2 places. He's farmable in Heroes 3-6 and Nexus 1-3. So yeah, Cap has earned his spot in the top 10 for farmable characters now. He's somebody that you should try to get early on because he's actually pretty awesome now. Coming in at number 9, we have Colossus. Colossus is farmable in Heroes 7-9, and I'm going to be honest, the thing that makes him relevant is his synergy with Phoenix. If he is on a regular old-school X-Men team with no Phoenix, they're mediocre at best. But pair him with Phoenix, and his viability skyrockets. They're able to take out even some of the most meta teams that are just full of legendary suit characters like an RTA. A old-school Avengers or X-Men team is actually a lot to deal with, especially if there's a beefy Colossus. He's actually another pivotal part to bringing into Dark Dimension 3 because he makes it so your Phoenix has a much greater chance to get off her drain in her ultimate. Without him, it's a crapshoot if you can get that off, and Phoenix is the key pivotal thing to Dark Dimension 3, and I suspect Dark Dimension 4, she's a pretty big deal as well. So anything to make Phoenix better is important, and for the most part, that's what the role Colossus serves, is that he is a function of Phoenix, much like Black Bolt and Yo-Yo are. Coming in at number 8, we have Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's farmable in Heroes 6-9, and she is one of the better plug-and-play characters that you can slot just about anywhere. She's very fast. She can open up a turn on turn 1 and potentially delete a squishy character, and she has been dubbed the one-woman army by a lot of people. She's experienced some power creep, but is still a pretty amazing character in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, you can put her on AIM and she shines. You can put her on the Kree team. You can slot her in on Young Avengers. You can put her on Wave 1 Avengers. So her versatility is what makes her shine, and she's actually a hoot to play with. Yes, I said hoot. The hoot to play with. It's fun. At number 7, we have Loki. Loki is farmable on Mystic 3-6. You can get him relatively early in the game. And yeah, he goes fast. And he can potentially also, just much like Captain Marvel, delete someone on turn 1 with his mind control ability. And yeah, he's a little squishy though. So likewise, if you have a Captain Marvel on the other side, you can actually delete Loki rather easily. He's not the hardiest of characters, but when he's paired with Hela or all of the Asgardians, they're pretty amazing. given the symbiotes have their number now in war defense. He's still also relevant because he is the second most important piece to unlocking Phoenix, right next to Hela. So Loki is still pretty awesome. Still can create havoc in the mid-range arena teams and RTA even. So Loki is deserving of the number 7 spot. Experience and power creep though, so he's I feel like he's going to find his way off the list at some point, but just the fact that he is a gateway to Phoenix still makes him very relevant. And yeah, and Black Bolt actually too, which also is a big deal. So yeah. Coming in at number 6, we have Taskmaster. Now you could argue Taskmaster might be more worthy of the number 7 spot. He's still very relevant, and he's the most important part of one of the best war defenses in the game, and that I think is most of his relevance. He's still very good in RTA PvP. He's experienced in power creep, but he is farmable in Doom 3.9, which yeah, that's kind of a late game, but he's still a great character. So I think there's some debate on whether or not I could have put him in the number 7 spot, because he's not a gateway to anybody, but he's still a pretty incredible character, and he's experienced some power creep, but he's still important, I think. So yeah. Coming at number 5, we have Red Skull. Red Skull is farmable in Doom 1.6, and Baron Zemo has become a very hard counter for them. Otherwise, you typically have to burn Inhumans or Brotherhood 2.0. I don't remember all the other counters for Hydra. There was limited counters until Baron Zemo came along, and they really have their number. Also, one of the new things to do at the high-end game is to yank him off of defense and to slot him in with Baron Zemo, making Baron Zemo and him even better on offense. So that's one of the new rages to do. There's a lot of different team makeups, from using Crossbones, Grenadier. I used Hydra Scientist for a while. Right now I'm running him on a Hydra Guardians team where he is paired with Loki and Hela, and they are my 3rd highest attack, and they can punch up around 100 to 150k if you get the mechanics down on Marauders in war defense. And they have a lot of teams numbers. Today I took out a big Doc Ock with them in war. They're still a big deal, and I feel at the lower end, because there's Baron Zemo's the only real hard counter besides Inhumans. I think that he's still a relevant character, but at the higher end of the game, he loses a lot of relevance on defense. But the beauty of him is that you can still throw him on offense, and it breathes new life into him as a character. Coming at number 4, we have Proxima Midnight. She is farmable in Doom 2.9, and she's definitely a late game farm, but when you have the ability to get her and to get all of her stars, she is so high on this ranking because even though she's not the best character on her team, she is still on the best team. So that makes her relevance skyrocket, and she is also a very viable option to bring into Dark Dimension 4. And she's good in a lot of other places. I've seen her shine on some PvP and RTA teams, especially when she's paired with her husband, Corvus Glaive. She's still BA. She's a very kick-ass character. So yeah, she's deserving of this position, mostly because she is on the best team in the game. So yeah. Coming in at number 3, this actually might be a surprise to some people, but Thor has been rejuvenated much like Captain America has. Except now, if you yank him off Asgardians and throw him on Wave 1 Avengers, the whole conversation changes about Thor. The problem with having him on Asgardians is that symbiotes are an absolute hard counter for them. If you understand the mechanics, You can punch way up on them, and it's the only thing it does, Asgardians do anymore on defense, is they pull a big symbiotes, and that's about it. There are actually a lot more counters for them, and there are counters for Wave 1 Avengers. However, a lot of people have Thor built up. Mine in war defense is right around 150k, and that changes everything about them. It's not uncommon for offenses to use a big black order on my Wave 1 Avengers, simply because Thor can be a giant headache. So that has brought his relevance up incredibly, and he's farmable in villains 7-3, so he's kind of a later game farm, but his relevance is skyrocketed because of his dynamic in Wave 1 Avengers. If they have a beefy Thor, you rethink what you're going to go in and attack them with. So that and he's pretty cool, man. I'm pumped that Thor is on this list as high as he is now, because several months ago he shared the same dynamic that Captain America did, where he was okay at best, and now he's kind of awesome. Plus, a lot of people bring him into DD4. He's not super expensive, and if you're like me, I have a 7 red star Thor. Makes you think, like, man, why not build him up and bring him in if he's cheap to bring in? You know what I mean? So then make your defense even nuttier on in war. So yeah, Thor, he's great. He's thundertastic. Coming in at number 2, even though she's experienced a lot of power creep, she is the reason why Asgardians are not as relevant as they once were. Asgardians were the best war defensive team in the game, and now there is an absolutely astonishing counter for them in war, to the point where it hurts people's souls to even add them on defense when you've built your Hela up. I have a 6 red star Hela. She's fully T4'd. She's level 80. So mine is on offense now. But the big thing with her, she's still awesome, but the reason why she has a number 2 spot, even for all those things being said, is you can still flip her into offense and make her relevant again, but she also is the gateway to 3 legendary characters. You have Ebony Maw, Black Bolt, and there's one other one. Yeah, anyway, she's the gateway to 3 legendary characters. She's a big deal just because of that. Oh, Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix. How could I forget? That's one of the most important ones. Not that Black Bolt and Ebony Maw are important, but like, there you have it. 3 of the most important characters in the whole game. She is your gateway to them. All 3 of them. And that's a big deal. She's also very important in any dark dimension. She comes in and shines, because if Greg is a target, the enemy can burn one-shots on there where normally they may have deleted a character, and you have the right RNG, they could delete Greg instead. He respawns, she heals, and there's this kooky mechanic that if she does get killed and you have Minerva on your team, Minerva can resurrect her and there's still a Greg on the field. You can have 2 Gregs, and then things get really wonky to where you could have the ability to run the table on the node you're in. Yeah, she's pretty great in a lot of places. Being farmable in Heroes 7-6 is kind of a bummer for all those things being said, but even though she's experienced a ton of power creep, she still remains relevant, especially when you pair her. I use her on offense with Baron Zemo, so when he puts ability block on someone, I use Red Skull to speed her up. She gets to go early in the match, and she spreads ability blocks, and that is the main factor to locking down a whole team and running right through them. So doing something like that with her, I feel, makes her incredibly relevant, and she's part of my new 3rd best attack on war. So war is an important game mode for me, but she's important for a whole bunch of other reasons still to this day. So yeah, Hela still hanging in there, number 2 spot. Pretty great for for what she does still and all the power creep she's experienced. The fact that she's still that relevant, and for a lot of good reasons. So, coming in at number 1, very deserving, Thanos. Thanos is the most important character on the best team. And if you're one of those people that's fortunate enough to have a 7 red star on him, it changes the game. There are some instances where you can go in with the best, very best characters in the game, and you just simply cannot get through Thanos to get to anyone else. If you have a 7 red star built up Thanos, he is an absolute nightmare to deal with. And for a lot of people, he's the number 1 or number 2 option to bring into Dark Dimension 4, and he's good for a ton of reasons. Arena, RTA, Dark Dimension, you name it. Thanos, for all of those reasons, is the most important character to farm, arguably with Hela for all of the intangibles. So Thanos is still a character you want to spend all of your time dumping your energy in to farm him up once you have access to that node. So there you have it. If you have any questions, or you feel like someone should have gotten an honorable mention or should have made it into the list, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll answer it as soon as I can. Thanks. Have a good one, guys.